All the disrespect, graffiti playback, button check. Button check.
What is up, Butt Check family? Welcome back to yet again a beautiful day, a beautiful night of checking these buttons. This is the second episode of the day. Hope you guys enjoyed the first one. As promised, we are back. Chapters down below, sub button right there. We got some hot ones. I believe we got 2 hot topics we're about to unpack. So without further ado, hope you're having a good weekend, baby. It's about to get better. Let's go. All right, now into the first set of I hope I never see myself as one of these miserable FGC Boomers, because players are just simply better nowadays. Buttons that need to be checked. Yeah, it's a hot one. As soon as I read that shit, I was like, oh boy, here we go again. We got a hot one. Okay, so somebody by the name of King Scrub, gotta love that name, right? Posted this, I believe just yesterday, saying, I pray I never see myself become one of these miserable FGC boomers. They constantly bring up the past games and try to downplay the achievement of the next generation. The older games were harder mechanically, but the competition now is much deeper. Players are just better now. Well, starting off right here, Flash Metroid have something to say. You see it right here saying, this idea that players are better today is hilarious and definitely false. I see FGC reacting. If I could talk Damascus right here saying, in my opinion, players are better is wrong. There is more high-level players than before is the correct statement. Okay, Flash responds to that saying, I'm not sure if that's even correct. Are there a lot of new high-level players? I guess it would depend on what level you call high level. Damascus responds to this saying, Street Fighter wise, if you compare 6 to 4 and you see the vast majority of elite Street Fighter 4 players are still active top players in 6, and you have to add this with all the players who started after 5, plus the amount of players who can beat elite players is way bigger for sure. Then Flash Metroid responds to that with the fucking list. I guess 4 versus 6. If you compare EVO 2014 to EVO 2024, the competition is roughly the same for elite players. Elite players these days have to go through a lot more mediocre / good players to get to the elite players. At the end of the day, nothing is real until top 100-ish, and it's been that way forever. All right, how you feel about that? That's a pretty good point, I guess. Nothing is real until you get to the top 100. Before, doesn't really matter. Others are like, what the fuck is everybody doing during Street Fighter 4 days? Or they are called 09ers. Flash Metroid's like, if everybody is new in Street Fighter 4, who the fuck played 2 and 3? What about the other games? That's crazy, because I remember when I came into the FGC, I first learned about the FGC, it was around 09, shortly after, right? Officially, when I started doing content, it was around 2015. But I remember at that time, to say you were a 09er, you were looked at as a joke. You were looked at like a newbie, a rookie. You were fucking green. You were like, oh, he's a 09er, this fucking guy. Who's listening to this guy? It was literally an insult. Now, obviously, you say 09er, people are like, oh shit, you a OG. You a real one. You've been here forever. But nah, I remember the day when you were looked at like a damn joke. Anyway, continuing on right here, I see Speed Kick saying, I think we could say for sure there are more players who are competitive threats to elite players than just let people have different opinions on why, LOL. Flash Metroid adds saying the competition right now is not hard. Oh my God, here we go. He's getting deeper right here. He said, the competition right now is not hard. 90% of the new entrants are not good. Players these days have zero consistency or fundamentals. They enter 50 tournaments a week and perform in 2, and then they think they're clean. The best players right now are now old. The best players right now are all old. So basically saying it's all the OGs. All the players that were good back then are the same players that are still good now. It's insane to me to try to claim Noah and Punk who played in Street Fighter 4. I'm still waiting for someone to list these young killers so I can really destroy this ridiculous conversation. Oh, okay. Because he's like, you can't claim Noah or Punk because they were around back then. They were rocking in that game technically, so they're a part of the group that he's talking about. He's like, where are these young killers? So I could destroy this conversation. But honestly, when I'm thinking of people that are still top 8s, top 32, or taking home trophies, they're all the OGs. They're all the people that I fucking remember from when we was playing in the Street Fighter 4 days. And down here, we'll wrap it up. He said, bloated with horrible players. The only difference between playing back then and playing now is that now I face more bums before I get to the hard matches, and the bums now are way more random because they are now entering 3 or more events tomorrow. We've heard this this debate to death quite a few times, right? As far as like the old versus the news. I think Mena has brought it up quite a few times as well. I want to say Mena considers himself a part of the new group. I don't know when he officially started, but the way he kind of talks about it, he says like, the competition wise that he believes it's harder nowadays. I could be getting that wrong, but I think that's usually what his point of view is. And then you go into debate, like Speed Kicks and other, just let people know, okay, there's more, like there's more numbers, but let people argue what elite actually means. What does that actually mean to you? Just leave it up to opinion, because that's where it's gonna fall at the end of the day. But Flash is taking it from the point of view is like, okay, there's just more bums. It was like, I have to face way more fucking random bums before I can get to the real shit. Because yes, there are more numbers, but that doesn't mean it's harder. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene from fucking 300. Remember when Gerard Butler, he took his men and they was off, took them soldiers and they were off to go do some battle, and then they linked up with another group that had more than them. And the guys were looking at Gerard and them, and he was like, I brought more soldiers than you did. And Gerard was like, okay, what do you do? Pointing at their clique. What do you do? He's like, I'm a school teacher. Bullshit like that. What do you do? I take care of animals. He was like, okay, and what do you do? And then he points at his guys, yo, what do you do? And they were like, yeah, like we do war, bitch. And then he looks back at them and says, I brought more warriors than you did. Don't get that shit twisted. Just because you have more numbers doesn't mean you got more people, more elite fighters than I do. It kind of reminds me of this argument right there. Just because there's more numbers nowadays doesn't mean y'all are more elite. Doesn't mean there's more killers, there's more sharks in these pools, baby. It just means there's more of y'all. And I guess the argument as well is the games are dumbing down. So people are going to look at that with the new generation. Like, even if we have quadruple, whatever, more players, so like, okay, but look at the quality of the game versus what we had to go through back then. And I guess the main point that he's making is most of those guys that were there, because the FGC is technically not that old, because our OGs, our fucking people that started with it, are still here competing and they're still here winning. So I think it's a good point of view. Now, is it the end all be all? Who's to say? Because I guess a lot of it's going to be opinion. But I will say, Flash does make a hell of a point. How y'all feeling? Let me know. All right, next up for them, BornFree, how I hacked Capcom and leaked Balrog. Buttons that need to be checked. The homie BornFree is back. Y'all remember Born? If you're new to the FGC, you might not. I can't remember the last time he was here. I want to say it was Street Fighter 5. I don't know how exactly he got started, but I do know he was Mr. Interview. He was going around interviewing everybody, just a great guy. People loved his content. He was like going from tournament to tournament to tournament to tournament. And if you were looking for an interview, you were looking for BornFree. Like, that was the man. Then he kind of dipped off. I want to say, what was it? Was it around 2020? Like around there? And then we kind of really didn't hear too much from him. Hasn't really been in the scene, as far as I know. I could be wrong. But now he's back. He's on his YouTube channel, link down below, check it out. He's actually posting a video a day, as far as I could tell. And he's kind of just like filling it out, being like, yo, I'm back. I wanna just start something fresh. You know what I'm saying? But the thing I like about it is he's now telling stories that apparently he's never told. And one of the ones he just posted was how I hacked Capcom and leaked Balrog in Street Fighter 5. I watched a piece of this. I thought it was hilarious. I'm gonna put the link down below so you can check it out. This dude's coming clean. This dude is actually coming clean. Like, look how I leaked this dude. I gotta give him props. But anyway, let's check out a clip. Let's go.
And they had these employees.
He's talking about being at E3,
really know
I
what
believe.
was going on. Now they weren't typical Capcom employees. They were just some pretty faces, basically. Some pretty women who wore Capcom t-shirts and were just told to make sure that people played, I guess, 1 or 2 games or had 10 minutes, I think, or 5 minutes or something, and then they threw you off the machine and you had to line up again. That was their job, but they didn't know anything else. They didn't know about the characters. They wouldn't be able to recognize if, for instance, you had found a way, navigated a way through these bizarre little menus to Balrog, which is exactly what I did. So I got on there, and there was a bunch of stuff on the menu, and I remember it was very clear. It was like, Street Fighter 5 version, whatever, and then there was a couple of other options, and then there was this really mysterious one with no title. So I just clicked on that immediately, right? And I just kept on clicking on the most mysterious, untitled sections, which the women, they didn't know. And there was nobody from Capcom around either. And I found myself out of nowhere being able to select Balrog. And at that time, nobody had seen Balrog other than sort of like his intro animation and his general sort of look. No one had seen him like in game. Now this was really tough for me because I had to hold first of all, I had to pretend nothing was wrong. I had to look, it had these ladies, who were over my shoulder. All they cared about was the fact that I should not be on there longer than 5 minutes or something, right? So I discovered Balrog and I was like, shit, I'm going to video this. So I had like a camera up and I was videoing it and I was holding it with a joystick or whatever. Then one of the women started to catch on, and she was a bit weirded out by me videoing it, I think. And I came up with some excuse or whatever. But I couldn't like do any special moves or anything like that. And all I could really do was just show a few punches and him moving back and forwards and stuff. And I cannot remember what excuse I used with the woman, but she kicked me off, and then I just released it to the world. I had a moment where I thought, this is really a bit of a spoiler for Capcom. I'm stealing a little bit of their thunder here, if not a lot. And but then I thought, nah, just do this because this seems like fun.
This seems like fun.
And my phone has never really sort of blown up as much as it did at that time. It just sort of like, I put it out as a tweet, and then it just ended up on every single gaming website you can think of within about 10 minutes all over the world. And then I think that evening or the next morning they did the official release. So it was just, it was what it was. And just one of those things. They actually, I think after they figured out that I'd done this, they didn't say anything to me directly, but they made sure to speak to the ladies working there to keep an eye on people and make sure that when they got to the select screen, they were selecting the right portions of the menu so that they didn't end up being able to play as Balrog. And yeah, it was one of those moments where I felt like, I felt like a hacker, felt like I was like a crazy hacker. But I also felt like some sort of like a journalist, which I never thought of myself.
I was about to say.
I mean, but yeah, it was just one of those. It was just a weird kind of day where, to be honest, I really just felt like, Capcom's messed up here, and this wasn't a hard code to crack. So that was back in 2016, around the same time. I think I did a bunch of interviews. Tasty Steve, I remember really well. Such a nice guy.
All right, we're gonna stop right there. Like I said, link down below. He's posting a lot, and I like it because he's giving a lot of like insider scoop stuff that we never really knew about. I think you got to give him credit because at the time, BornFree was kind of a big name, right? He was like very well respected and liked. Everybody was doing interviews with him. So for him to take that chance and be like, hey, this kind of screws them, but it seems like fun, so let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Kind of a big deal because they could easily look down upon you and be like, fuck this guy, and they'll not want to work with you or allow you or have players interview. You know what I'm saying? Put a secret shadow ban on your ass. It takes balls. It takes balls to do that, so I give him props. You know what I'm saying? Can't say exactly what I would have did in that situation. I know I would have recorded it. I know I would have tried, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know exactly what I would have done. But you know, you see that a lot of days now, right? You saw that with fucking Elena and stuff like that. And I don't think those players got penalized unless they did without saying anything. But there was a lot of players that recorded shit. Event Hubs reported it. I reported it. A lot of other people reported it. Like, oh, we got our first glimpses of season 3 or the patch and Elena. So it was a pretty big thing. And like I said, I don't really see anybody getting like banned or permabanned or any shit like that. So not really sure where that would lay. But either way, props, BornFree, looks like he's back. Show him the love. How y'all feeling? Let me know. There it is, Button Check fam. Thank you guys for the amazing love. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, the earlier video has dropped. We had some heavy debates on that, so hope you guys like that. I will see you tomorrow. And yeah, we got one more day on this beautiful weekend. So appreciate the mad love as always. I don't know what it is, but I know it's about to get better. Love y'all, fam. Peace.
Blah, blah, blah. Subscribe.
What is your profession?
Sculptor, sir.
You?
Blacksmith.
Spartans! What is your profession? You see, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.